John Morris, founder of 444 Media.
Let's go.
Welcome to the show,
Cheers.
brother.
You're awesome. You remember root beer is the drink, man. That's the thing. I just think that's fantastic. It's always the little touches and the details.
It's the little things, man.
Really cool.
Yeah. Meyer actually sells those individually. Otherwise, I was going to buy a pack. And I like root beer, but I usually drink my liquid.
I've not
That's my
had
go-to.
this one, too. So,
Really? Yeah. It's the Meyer brand. It's the expensive kind. No, I'm just
Let's
kidding.
go.
No, it's not.
Let's go.
It's not. So, dude, it's been fun following your journey, obviously, because we've been connected for, I think, 5 years now from COVID,
Gosh,
really.
Longer than that.
Maybe it was 5 or 6 years, something like that. And you had a very successful career. And then was it this year that you decided to, at 49 years old, you decided to say, peace.
Yeah.
I'm going to start my own business.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Interesting. Not intended, right? So I had launched...
You had the bug, though.
I had the bug.
Yeah.
It's always been in there because I've always, since I was 24, I've been leading teams.
Yeah.
And, an entrepreneurial spirit, I don't know that you can teach that. I think for many it's innate. But it is definitely something that you catch the bug for. And so I always treated teams that I was managing like I owned that team.
Yeah.
Like I owned a company within the company. And I put a lot of time and energy and kind of pride into it. So I think you're right. I think it was inevitable. It was coming. In fact, I remember a time when I was probably 12 years old. My dad said, "You're different from your brothers and sisters." And I was like, well, of course, yeah, obviously, what does that mean? He's like, I think you're going to be an entrepreneur. And of course,
really,
you don't know that. You kind of fight it. And then next thing you know, I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm starting my own painting company. And so then that kind of kicked in. And then I went on this kind of journey of working for other people and building sales teams.
Yeah.
Recently, though, I got this hankering in tail end of 2023, beginning of 2024, that I was going to get back into my golf game.
You received a God tap.
I got a God
on
tap.
the worst day of your life.
It was the worst day and best day.
That was 12/19/23.
That's correct.
Let's talk about that because that kind of leads into where
Sure.
you're at now.
Yeah, so I've been battling with depression and anxiety since I was a child. I don't know how far into that you want to go, but there was, some different scenarios that kind of cause that stress, if you will. And like anything else, it comes and goes and comes and goes, and it has to be managed. I don't know that you ever get rid of it. It kind of has to be managed. I have this spirit about me that once I get it under control, that I'm good.
Yeah.
So I don't need to take my medicine anymore. I'm good. And I just kind of got off track, was making some bad decisions. And one thing that does not mix is substance abuse, whether it be alcohol or anything else, with depression and anxiety. They just don't mix. And when you get into those types of spirals, you look for a way to numb it. And what's interesting is when you numb it, you're not actually numbing it, because once that wears off, it comes back tenfold.
Right.
What's interesting about depression and anxiety is I call it feeding the beast. So it's almost like you want it to go away, but you kind of want it to stay, because it kind of is like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Feed that thing, man. Like, let's get really depressed, and then we can numb it more.
And then do you feel like you're almost like motivated on top of the depression and the darkness? I talked about dark energy a week ago with a podcast guest. Like, let's fucking go. The chip on your shoulder, the everything's bad.
Oh, yeah.
And you kind of feed off that.
Well, dude, you know how I am.
Yeah.
Right? So I get here. You want to go here?
Yeah.
Let's go, man.
I've
I'm the
seen it.
let's go guy.
Yeah.
Every team that I ever played for, I was the guy in the middle. Like,
in fact, I think
cheering
that's
people up.
mostly what people see when it comes to you.
Because that's what I showed them.
Right.
And so I got into a really dark phase. I picked a fight with my wife because I was looking for the thing to kind of push me over. So I left work early one day, started drinking probably till about 11 o'clock, called her up at about 5 o'clock. I'm deep into it. She comes up. We have dinner, get into an argument that I picked. I had it coming. She walks out. That was the thing I needed. I get in my car. I get up to 140 miles an hour on the highway on 90. I close my eyes 3 times, probably for anywhere from 45 seconds to 90 seconds each time, driving 140 miles an hour down 90. But here's the interesting though. Yeah. I have a humanity side to me. I would wait till there was thousands of yards of empty space. And so I didn't want to injure anyone else. That was for sure. But Yeah, so I would close my eyes, and on the third time I heard whether it's conscious or subconscious, I got a God tap. I heard a not now. I broke down into tears, immediately hit the brakes, slowed all the way down. I drove back to my house. There was, a ruckus there. I was taken to the hospital. I spent 2 weeks in the hospital over Christmas. And on the second day that I was in there, another one of the patients came up to me, and I was sitting in the room, by myself, kind of sucking my thumb, if you will. What the hell did I just do? And then I'm angry at the whole world, so I'm looking for everything to blame it on. And he comes in, and he goes, if you stay in here, you'll never leave. Like, you have to get involved. So if you're mad and you think that this is like going to somehow be your cry for attention, and they're going to be like, oh, well, he's mad, so let's let him out. That's not how this works. You're going to have to get involved. So I let that sit for a few hours, and then I got involved. And I went up to the nurse's desk, and I said, can I get a journal? And she's like, okay, so what's the journal for? Now, mind you, no shoelaces, no belt, no nothing. Yeah. So they're not exactly thrilled to give you a pen or a pencil. So they give me a golf pencil, And so I took this journal out, and I just started writing. And the first thing I started with was asking for forgiveness, oddly enough, from myself. I had to forgive myself for this hole that I had dug. Then I looked up and I asked.
It's not easy to do, by the way.
Oh gosh, because it was a deep hole, and it was self-induced, and I knew that. So then I looked up and I asked for forgiveness from God, and then something came over me, and I just started writing. And in that writing was a 25-point plan, and in that plan, I'm not sure exactly what point, but it was like, go get out of here. Explain the story to your wife and kids, ask for their forgiveness, and just kind of, I went down this, like, all these things that I was going to accomplish. One of those things was to join the country club up the street and to win the club championship. Now, that sounds like, to somebody listening to this, like, how is that going to heal? Well, if I was going to replace my bad habits with any type of good habit, golf was the best habit I could replace it with. It's something that I'm really good at, I'm passionate about, and by the way, my family can go, he's at the golf course, he's good.
Right. Yeah.
So it just kind of soothed me. So I just went deep into that. And in that, I had said, I'm addicted to Grant Horvat. Grant Horvat's a YouTube golfer, and Bryson DeChambeau. So I don't watch TV, I watch YouTube golf.
Yeah.
That's it. And I became a student of it.
Yeah.
Started watching, like, how the camera worked and, like, what shots were they getting and what angle and the conversation. So I wrote down on there that I was going to start my own YouTube golf show. Right?
Golf with JMO, right?
Golf with JMO.
Yeah.
So I accomplished joining the club. I won the club championship. I started checking off all these things, apologizing to people, getting myself under control. As of this December, well, it is December, isn't it? In 17 days, it'll be 2 years sober.
Wow, good for you, man.
Back to church, lost 40 pounds.
Wow.
And, but in that was, I was going to launch another podcast. I had left the company that I had this career at. I went to another company. It launched a second podcast. And we both know that one time might be luck, 2 times is a potential trend.
Yeah.
First podcast got to top 5% globally for business and marketing. Second, in 40 episodes, got to top 10% for business and marketing. Now we're going, okay, maybe we got something. So in June, I call up one of my previous guests who is now a current client, who is an ex-Golf Digest golf pro. He was doing the training videos, and a hell of a guy. I said, hey, will you be my first guest? So we filmed the pilot episode. And I had my 2 older sons working cameras and a guy that drove in from South Dakota.
Nice.
And he's working a camera. And we played 9 holes, and I asked him 9 questions, had the GoPro set up, and put out this pilot episode. And it got 12,000 views on the long form, or 1,200 views on the long form, excuse me.
Yeah.
And it got 40,000 views to the 7 or 8 clips that we made. I thought to myself, I think I got something here. And I had people reaching out to me like, hey, you're in your element. Like,
I could see it for sure. Yeah, definitely.
So I then announced on LinkedIn that I was the owner and creator of the Golf with JMO show, and I started a LinkedIn page, and that caused a bit of a ruffling of feathers at my previous company. And
so at this point, you're not saying I'm going to go start my own business and be an entrepreneur, quit my job. You're just thinking I'm doing the show. It's passion. It's helping me recover.
Look,
it's good for me.
God's at the wheel right now, my friend.
Yeah,
okay?
Right.
So
that's
God's
what you thought.
I'm following breadcrumbs.
Right.
And if I feel it and I hear it in my mind or I feel it in my heart, and I'm praying on a lot of stuff, but I'm not forcing anything right now. I'm just kind of letting it come to me.
Yeah.
Like a really good shortstop. You let that ball come into we're not going out and getting it. I'm just kind of letting it come to me. And had a little bit of a conversation there. It didn't quite work out. And next thing I know, I'm starting 444 Media. 444, the name is because those are my angel numbers. Every day since the second day I was in the hospital, I have seen those numbers in a row 3 to 5 times a day, every day, somewhere.
How so?
On my odometer, on the clock, the coffee machine. I could wake up at 4:30, go make coffee. The coffee's ready. It's 4:44.
So today you saw it already?
I've seen it 3 times already today.
No shit.
I watched, what was a football game last night. The clock stopped on a timeout. It was at 4-minute and 44-second mark of the second quarter or whatever. I mean, it happens. I have pictures on my phone.
Do you think there's something significant with those numbers?
So I looked up what the numbers mean. It means allow divine timing to take shape.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So what that tells me is that I was saved, number one. Number two, my biggest challenge has always been a lack of patience. And there's something telling me you don't have to force it. You don't have to rush. We got you. Just let it work. Do the right things and let it come to fruition. So to your point, like no plans to start a company, but sometimes you make decisions that force the hand of yourself or other people, and it clears a path for what was intended for you. And so I think that that's what happened. And in fact, I went home after an intense conversation, and I talked to my wife. She goes, well, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
I'm like, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, when you posted on LinkedIn, like
right.
you kind of forced the hand.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess I kind of did, didn't I? So sometimes, we plan things out and we create them. Sometimes subconsciously we're planning it and we don't know. And I think you probably had a similar thing when you were in business development and you started creating content to sell more.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is a thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the trajectory that I'm following in this regard.
So they basically had a conversation with you. You guys butted heads, and then you made the decision to, all right, this is my time.
Yeah, so there was a, and rightfully so, and no ill will whatsoever.
Sure.
It was a great run. I enjoyed my time. I was treated extremely well. Great people there. And I can, in the moment, maybe you don't see their point. Maybe I see it a little bit better now. But essentially the conversation was, hey, look, this is a conflict of interest. You're the face and voice of this show. Now you're kind of moving over here to be the face and voice of that. It's a conflict. I didn't see it that way because I thought, hey, look, I'm going to leverage this for my current role. You see it one way, I see it another, but nobody's right.
But there was a decision that you had to make because you could have said, all right, I won't do the show. I'll go back to this podcast for the company. But you decided.
I bet on myself. That was it.
And what was that? What was that conversation like in your mind? Or was it something you talked over with your wife? Or how did that come about?
Well, here's the crazy part, okay?
Did you decide it in the moment with your talk with your company?
I decided that day. There was no, hey, go home and think about it. It was that day.
So when they brought you in to talk to you about it, you're like, it's me.
I just said, hey, yeah, I'm going to go do it.
I'm the one.
I'm going to go do it. And what was cool was there was an encouragement of that. And in fact, they became my first client.
That's cool.
So, and then, it just didn't work out after that. And sometimes, you try and make something happen that isn't meant to happen. It just wasn't meant to happen. So, but what ended up being really amazing about it is once I kind of was like, well, I'm doing this, and I started to let people know I'm doing this, not through a cold call, not through an email blast, through content.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
All of a sudden, DMs started coming in. Hey, can you do for me what you did for them? Hey, can you do? And so then I think I looked at my wife about a month in. I'm like, I have 4 clients already, and I haven't made a call. And like, I'm drinking through a fire hose, and this is amazing.
Yeah.
What happens when I really put my emphasis into this? Because
Yeah.
the first month, I'm like, do I have something?
Yeah,
Should I
right.
put my resume out?
Right.
Do I need to call Alex? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing here?
Yeah.
Right. So, once I figured out that I had a model that I had used for 2 other companies that were bigger brands that were invested into it, and I could take that model and I could duplicate it in multiple companies, then I started to recognize that I had something.
Yeah, and those experiences gave you the opportunities to build the skills that
There
you
you
then
go.
took out and used. So,
But I'm like you.
Yeah.
So Alex, I had a 20-year sales career.
Yeah.
You know, in 1999, I got my first inside sales job.
Yeah.
Right, and I had a very fast trajectory, probably weighed into some of my anxiety and depression, and that
Yeah.
I took off way faster than most people should take off. Like by 24, you know, I'm making $200,000 at 24, and by the way, in what 19?
yeah, that was a lot of
in
money, man.
2002 or
Yeah.
whatever. Like that's crazy for a kid who failed out of college and has become really good at sales. Like,
Yeah.
and I took off, and then there were some moments at that company that kind of put me back in my place. And then 2008 hit, and I lost everything, and I was out of work for a year, and so the spiral, you know, was always waiting there behind the scenes. And this time was different because this time I was going to lean into it and like follow through, and I'm in the midst of it right now.
It's funny, man, because me and Pete, who's a mutual connection, a friend of ours, we'd talk sometimes and be like, John should start his own fucking business. You know, like you remind me of when I was in corporate and I would be like writing playbooks or trainings or in sales stuff. And I'd be like, you have this entrepreneurial side of you that's like just wants to come out and play so freaking bad, man. Like,
Alex, it's so true. Cause I would write those playbooks and I would take them to my boss and be like, dude, just stick to the script,
thing.
man.
Yeah.
They'd like stiff arm me like,
Yeah.
no, just stick to the script.
Yeah.
The script. So it was cool when I got to Club Colors because they were like, okay, this is crazy, but
Let's
give
try
it a
it.
shot. And so that was really cool that they believed in me to do that. So,
so obviously your company now helps companies build out podcast strategies, build outs, you help them run the show, you do content strategy. What initially got you into podcasting? Because you're very bullish on podcasting.
Yeah.
And I'm curious why and how did you originally at Club Colors get into it?
So what was really cool about working for a brand management firm is we were selling promotional products and branded apparel, and the stigma is that it's trinkets and trash. We hated the word swag. If you said Chotsky near us, we got repulsed. We might swing at you. So we were always about creating a brand experience. That was the nomenclature that we were using. We're going to create a brand experience, lasting memories, right? So when you hand out a promotional product, you're not handing out a 2-dimensional product with a logo on it. You're giving something that is memorable that's going to create a lasting impression and a brand experience. So I was indoctrinated in a great way into that thought process. And I'm very thankful for that because that really is something. To the point, I walk in here, I got you a root beer. That's a brand experience. I'm going to remember that as much as this great experience, but I'm going to remember that you thought of me that way.
Yeah.
So when I went into Club Colors, initially I was brought in as the sales manager, and I kind of looked around at the organization, and I said, well, there's so many great things here. Like, what am I going to do? Like, it's already kind of running pretty well. Like, and I was given the instruction that, like, this is not a turnaround job, dude. Like, you don't have to go in there and, like, just blow the thing up, okay? And that's what I was accustomed to.
Right.
This was like, in fact, I'd never had somebody say, take 6 months to analyze the company. I'm like, you're going to pay me for 6 months just to think and learn and analyze? And so I really got a chance to kind of sit back, get to know everybody, and look for the weaknesses. Where I saw that what there were weaknesses was there wasn't a lot of rallying kind of team type of energetic incentive and team building, things where you would go, this is our identity. We are this company. We do this. So I started to think, okay, well, how can I take identity and turn it into increased productivity or inspiration that leads to incentives? So the first step, I called up and I said, hey, can you buy me a gong?
I remember I've been to the office, yeah.
And they're like, yeah, okay. They're like, what for? I'm like, don't worry about it.
Been there 6 months. I got an idea.
I need a
Fucking gong.
They're like, here we go.
Like, all right, man.
So I'm sitting at my desk and a package comes in and it's about, yay big. And I open it up and it's the gong and I call up. I'm like, no. Thank you. But I'm talking about a gong. Like I need a big gong. The reason I put that in place is our average transaction was X. And I was at a management meeting 2 weeks into being there, and I heard one of the co-CEOs say, if we can keep the employee count the same and make the same amount of transactions, but increase the value of each transaction by $150, our revenue will jump to this. So my thought was, well, how can I create a brand identity while incentivizing the team to upsell? So I put this gong in place, and I essentially said, if you make a sale over $5,000, you get one gong hit. 10,000, two. And it was a way to inspire people and motivate people to get this kind of crazy thing, to be able to stand up and hit the gong. Now, what was interesting was there was a lot of veterans that were there that were like, this is crazy. We're not doing this. And at one point I went up to him and I said, it's not for you. It's for the people that want to be like you. So if you get up and you hit this gong and you describe to him how you took a client from a no to a yes, and then a yes that was 5X, because you upsold them on kitting and inserts and all this other stuff, then they're going to go, oh, that's how you do that. So you get to hit the gong and get recognized. They get the teaching. We all win. And then we make a team incentive around that. So that was the first step. Second step was put the belt in, and then we started putting a wish board up. We put all these different things in. So next thing you know, the company's scaling. I start hiring people underneath me to manage the direction of the CEOs. Hey, build a team underneath you to manage so you can start to delegate. Cool. We get that built. So now it's 2019. We're up 35% over the year before, record year. And I got layers of management. I'm kind of like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
I got them all doing all the stuff that they're working the model, and it's working. So January and February 2020, we're up 40% over the 35% year.
Wow.
COVID hits. We all know what happens. By May, we're down 80%. So this is when the content journey starts. So I'm like, well, how are we going to get our message out? Nobody's answering the phone. So I take the phone, I turn it around, I start doing did you knows. And the first did you know that I did was we shifted our model from promotional products to PPE. Logoed face covers, logoed hand sanitizers, pretty brilliant. When we had to change all the company stores that we had built, put new product in there, open up the channels.
Right.
The top of the heap did that. They were brilliant in doing that. My job was to get the message out and then figure out what worked and then train the sales team on how to do it. Next thing I know, I start getting people sending me DMs like, hey, I saw that you could do T-shirts. Now I see you do PPE. Can you get me 1,000 face covers? And I'm like, yeah, no problem. And a big client, the third largest insurance broker in the world, I reached out through LinkedIn DM and said, hey, I noticed your company store. You don't have any PPE on it. We could set that up overnight for you. And he's like, he had stiff armed me 4 weeks earlier before COVID hit, right? And then he's like, yeah, let's do that. So that was one of the first stores. And now they're still a huge client.
Wow.
So in that, I pitched the idea that we would do a podcast. So now tie all of that together. I know it's a long story, but I'm getting somewhere. Yeah. So tie all that together. We bring a client in, a current client. We have them come in. They walk through the sales department. Somebody in sales stands up and goes, what do we do when a guest is here? And everyone yells, guest gong. So we turn the gong from a sales incentive into a tour stop. So now the guest comes in and we go, I take the mallet. I go, this is an honor. We only give to our top guests and our top sales performers. We'd be honored if you'd hit our gong. And they're like, whoa, this is a thing. And everyone's got their phones out and they're all taking pictures. And the guest hits the gong. And then we take them to the leading salesperson. We go, hold up the belt. So now we've got them holding up. So we literally took a stranger that was a client that had never been to our office and essentially folded them into our culture in an hour.
So smart.
So now we've got all that content, the video, the pictures. So we start posting those things out. Then we bring them back. I take them up to meet with the CEOs. CEOs, I tell them, stay up here. We call it air traffic control. Stay up in the tower. I'm going to bring them in.
Yeah.
So it's like an honor to come meet our CEOs.
Yeah.
So I deify the CEOs. It's a big deal to come meet our CEOs. They're going to take time out. CEOs stand up, tell stories, make them feel like $1 million. They walk out skipping, hit the gong, held the belt, met the sales team. Every person stands up and shakes their hand. Then I bring them into the podcast room. Now at that point, they can't wait to talk about how great the experience has been so far.
Yeah.
So what do I have? A testimonial. I got a testimonial of what it feels like to come to our facility. And now I've got also energy so that when they're on the podcast, they're not nervous, they're not boring, they're going to tell compelling stories, and they're going to have a twinkle in their eye because they just had an amazing experience.
So you do the testimonial first, record that, and then you get into the podcast.
So
but you create the brand
tucked
experience.
in.
Yeah.
It's tucked in. So in the opening, it's like, hey, it's so great to have you here.
Yeah, I got
what
it.
have you thought about it so far?
I
It's
gotcha.
like, oh my gosh. So
That's cool.
Now they're giving that. So along the way are all things that we sell. We sell the belts.
Yeah.
We give them a gift that's a t-shirt or a speaker, right? These are all products that we were sourcing and selling. So it's like a no-brainer that we're essentially introducing them to what it could look like at their brand if you gave somebody a tour and made them part of the culture, created the content, gave them a guest gift, put them on a microphone, collaborated with them by promoting them, and then divvying up all the clips and then sending it to them. So that was like, how do I create in one recording day, how do I create the ultimate brand experience for the guest who is a current customer, a potential customer, or an influential person like an Alex B. Sheridan who was on, who came in, and I wanted you to talk to the sales team. Why? I wanted the sales team to be like you. So if I could get the sales team, 35 people, to post every day like you do, imagine how dynamic of a sales team a company would have if they had 35 Alex B. Sheridans and John Morrises working for their company. They could close deals. They're still writing it up. They're doing all that. But they were also brand champions. They were telling the story of the brand every single day. That sales team will dominate. So I was trying to lead from the front and doing that. And the podcast became the nucleus of how to batch all of that content and create that ultimate experience.
What did you see from a podcast from the outcomes and results standpoint? For anyone that's listening that's like, I thought about doing a podcast. I kind of think I might be into it, but I'm not really sure. Is there a business ROI? Is there, because from us, I mean, man, you get a ton of great content. You enjoy doing it. You do create a brand experience. You bring people in. You have their favorite drink. You got a gift box. You do, you have an awesome conversation. You build a relationship that lasts way longer than
We're married.
Way longer than the podcast. It's not like okay, John, see you next year. You build a community around it if you want to. And then some of those people just naturally end up turning into clients.
Yeah.
I'm curious what you saw from your experiences.
100%. And I had no idea that was going to happen. And to be honest with you, I've never gone viral.
Yeah.
I've created a lot of content. I've never gone viral. But somehow everything that I've done is create a revenue. So this is the biggest challenge I think a lot of people have.
And you don't need to go viral all the time. That's it, right?
You don't. It's nice.
Yeah. You find your pocket. You find your pocket and you dig down on value for that niche and that particular audience, man.
90% of the people that have gone viral in the world either had celebrity status already or did something absolutely ridiculous that you can't duplicate. Like, are you going to push your kid down the stairs once a week to go viral every time?
Yeah.
Or are you going to slam the door on grandma and have her fall down the stairs?
Yeah.
Because those are most of the videos that go viral.
And it doesn't usually generate revenue unless you're maybe an influencer or something like that. But for a B2B company, it's like we need to put out the content that actually brings in business and builds a brand that people recognize and love.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the idea was, number one, let's have on our current customers because
no-brainer.
Depth of partnership.
Yeah.
So,
saturation.
That's it. Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
No matter how good you are, your competition is going to call your clients.
Totally.
Are they armed to say, no, Alex is the best because he does this above and beyond? So what are the intangibles that you offer beyond your products and services? So that was always my thing, is like, I know, first off, in our agreements that we had, and I'm referring to the promotional product and branded apparel space still, but in those agreements, you rarely had a preferred stature where they only bought from you. You were one of 4, one of 17. So take a university, there's 300 buyers of promotional products there.
Yeah.
You might have 4 of them that are your clients, and you're fighting with the other 17 preferred vendors over the remainder. So if it always comes down to product or price, that's a race to the bottom. So what's our differentiator? What causes us to stand out? So I felt like that was a great way to stand out, was that like we promoted your brand, promoted your thought leadership. So the podcast, and you know this, was never about me. It was never about Club Colors. It was never about the people. It was never about our roles. It was always about the guest and promoting the guest. We got the secondary benefit of that. So first, current customers. Second, sales kills me right now. And here's the reason. It is completely counterintuitive to everything that we know as human beings. We call up a complete stranger on the phone, and we ask them for their most precious commodity, time, to offer them something they didn't know existed, they likely don't want, and they didn't even know that they needed. And they're not in the market at the moment for it. So it's not even impulsive. Now, you might get lucky every once in a while if you dial enough to find that. But for the most part, we're calling up and asking somebody for their most precious commodity. Now, reverse the call. Hey, I'd love to have you on to talk about your brand, to promote who you are, what you do. I'm going to create an hour and a half long content, give it to you, post it, push it out on all my platforms. I'm going to chop it up into multiple clips, and I'm going to give it to you. You could do whatever you want with it. And I'm going to give you an amazing brand experience, and I'll fly you in. That's a lot different call. Than, hey, can I get an hour of your time on a Zoom?
Yeah. I always tell prospects will say yes all day long to being on your podcast or show versus you trying to sales pitch them in the DMs or email or phone calls. And sure, to your point, you could send out 1,000 and maybe you do get a couple, but you lose a lot of brand trust and probably a lot of that communication too. But you ask 10 people to be on your show, 7 of them will say yeah.
Easily. And by the way, you know why? Let's break it down to the simplest form. One is an ask, the other is a give.
Yes.
And reciprocity tells me if I give first, you almost feel compelled to give back, especially if you're a good human.
Yep.
So if I give you 3 things and I ask for this little one thing, is that worth your time? What if I give you 10 things and ask you for one thing? Mm-hmm. And eventually, if I had you on a podcast, I've given you the experience, I promoted you, I've got your college roommate you haven't talked to in 15 years, saw you on YouTube and reaches out and goes, dude, what the hell are you doing on a podcast?
Yeah.
Right? And you've got suppliers and vendors going, you were really good on that. Now, when I call you up and say, hey, remember that one thing I asked for? I just want one shot. The next time you go to bid, just give me one chance. Can you do that? They're going to say yes.
You're going to get it.
Once you have the one chance, you better be damn good. Then
you got to show up and do your work.
You better deliver.
Do work. Yeah.
But the hardest part right now for any of us is to get the attention
getting in
of people that are in a noisy world that are being pulled in 9 million different directions. And I feel like this is a great avenue to do that.
Now, what did you say to the CEO that's like, we need leads and clients today, John? We can't wait to build a podcast and have people on every week. What do you say to those CEOs?
Well, first off, I would say that's a CEO that probably spent a lot of time in accounting, operations, and or was in sales and has completely lost sight of what sales actually is anymore. Because the fact of the matter is, in the old days, I could pound the phone 300 times, get 60 people to talk to me, funnel that down to 30, and give you 15 leads for tomorrow. Now, if I make 300 calls, I get 2 people to answer. So how am I going to get you the 15 leads? So I have to create a brand experience. Now, can that happen overnight? Can I get you the leads tomorrow? Unlikely. Can I get them by the end of the week? If I helped you build a podcast and you did a batching recording session where you just said, this week, all we're going to do is bring in 20 clients. We're going to record 20 episodes in a week. Yeah, I could give you 19 leads right there.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, a year of content.
Yes. Exactly.
Leads and content.
Yeah.
And by the way, fandom, evangelism, ambassadors, because every one of those people leaves, gets in their car and goes, that was awesome.
Yes,
you know what they do then? They flip the phone on and they go, I just met with Alex P. Sheridan. You wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
Now they're promoting you for you. So in their network of followers are leads as well.
Mm-hmm. Totally. And you get referrals to be on the show. And yeah, for sure. What about the CEO or the founder that says, listening right now, and they say, man, this podcasting seems like it'd be good for our business and leads and clients and all this stuff and the content. God, I don't want to do it though.
Yeah.
But I'll do it just because I got to, we'll create the revenue or whatever it is.
Yeah.
What's your advice to that person?
I would say either align with,
because you know how some of these shows are, right? It feels like,
yeah.
Hi, John. Welcome to the show. What's your favorite color?
So that's the first thing is I would tell them that if you feel that way, you shouldn't do the show on your own.
I agree.
You need a coach.
Or maybe just not do the show.
Maybe just don't do the show.
Maybe podcasting is not your avenue. Maybe it's short form videos or YouTube or something else.
Hire a face or voice like me or you to host the show for you.
That's right.
And build you a show. And we'll be the face or voice for the show for you. We'll host the damn thing. And it'll be logoed out with your logo behind. And we will be doing it on your behalf of the brand. Or you identify 2 or 3 people within your organization that have the appropriate personality. They have to be curious, capable of communicating, somewhat entertaining, maybe somewhat aesthetically pleasing, perhaps somebody who's an expert. Maybe it's a combination of you hit all those points with a panel. But I would say that CEO-led content is the best content because if I'm being honest, I buy from an organization when it's not like a retail or whatever.
Amazon or something.
You're talking about a service, right? Where it's going to be a year-long, 2-year-long commitment or whatever it might be. They're going to play a part in how my business functions. I kind of like to know who's steering the ship.
Hell yeah.
So I think that the other thing that a CEO could do is be the guest on your own show. So have your director of sales be the host, curate the questions, and get a guest on that's a current or potential customer who is the guest with the CEO guest. Have somebody run point and ask both of you questions so that you're communicating. Mm-hmm. The camera's not on you. It's in the room.
Yeah.
While you're talking.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways to structure it to fit all different personalities.
For sure. You can get creative with it. That's what's fun about creating content is you can do a million different things. Yeah. And you're starting something new too. Maybe we'll talk about here in a second. Sure. But so when you look at being a host, like what makes a good host for a podcast? And then what makes a good guest for a podcast?
What makes a good host for a podcast is somebody who's confident enough to ask really strong questions, sit back, and let the answer happen. And also know their guests well enough to know if the answer wasn't good enough, that they dig deep enough to help that guest create the answer that's on brand. So there will be times where I will ask a question of somebody and I know they gave me the surface of the answer, and I know if I'm watching as a viewer, I'm going, that was shaky. Yep. That didn't hit.
Yep.
So as a really good host, knowing that my job is to create a brand experience and to best promote the guest as possible, to put them in the best light, I'm going to ask follow-up questions until I feel they got an authentic, vulnerable, powerful answer out, or at least some sort of answer that evokes emotion, right? Being a really good guest is...
really quickly on that, I think that's a great point that you make, because I do think most podcast hosts are scared to ask not only the questions that would put the guest in the favorable light, but the challenging and tough questions.
Yeah.
And you got to push a little bit sometimes in a healthy way. But there are certain times you watch podcasts and someone says like, yeah, we did this, this, and this. And you're like, that doesn't sound right. Or there's something missing from that story. Yeah. And a good host will go, hold on, what made you do that?
Why did that for me?
Yeah, like go. So what would you say to someone that doesn't say that? Like you gotta sometimes challenge a little bit. Yeah. And I think people love that. And you've probably gotten that feedback. I've gotten that feedback where people are like, I like that you go deep.
Correct.
And there's depth. And Alex, you follow up on shit.
I've had people tell me stuff that I Like at the end, they were like, wow, that was like there. Like I didn't think we were going to go there.
Yeah.
And you just did it to me. I had no intention of coming out and
Yeah.
telling my story of December 19th, 2023.
Yeah.
I'm like beyond that now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it is, guess what? I'm not beyond it because who
part of
I
your
am
story.
right now, that's truth,
Yeah.
right? And there's truth sets you free, by the way.
Yeah,
So
it
I'm
does.
happy to tell the story because guess what? I'd rather control the narrative. Another great reason to podcast. I'd rather control the narrative than you find out from somebody who found
Yes.
out from somebody
Great point.
what you think maybe kind of is the story. I'd rather just flat out look you in the eye and tell you what the hell the story is. I'm
That's
an
a great
open
point.
book. So if I'm a CEO or whatever, and let's say I got a 4 Google review, and there's a story behind that, there's an episode. Why isn't it a 5?
Yeah.
But maybe there was 25 disgruntled employees that decided they were gonna and maybe you could speak to that, and maybe you could be vulnerable and go, you know what, hindsight, I probably made some mistakes in that.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I completely agree with you that being a really good host is creating depth and making sure that you don't leave your guest hanging with an answer that doesn't show up well for them.
Totally. 2 other things. One, we kind of hit on this, but extracting value for the audience, making sure that when a guest comes on, and this kind of leads into my 3rd one, which would be preparation. I think is so key. You have to prepare, know the guest.
Yeah.
You can't be like, so what does your company do? Yeah. It's like, dude, because it's not it's also a balance of not doing too much preparation to where you have all the answers already.
Exactly.
You have to have a little discovery process,
Yeah.
But I think you can't show up and just not know shit because it doesn't allow you to ask better questions.
Yeah.
But I think extracting value. I mean, on our show, Founder Talk, it's extracting knowledge, insights, and stories from one founder and passing it on to the next. And you got to know who is my audience right now for the most part, and what can this guest, what can I extract? It's not your job to do it. It's my job to come on here and make sure I ask the right questions or push where I need to or have you tell the right stories to where the audience listening goes, God, that was awesome. And we're going to start doing a brand experience like John did.
Yeah.
We're going to start, like that's what it should be like.
So you do a fantastic job of that, and in fact, you
Thank
posted something. You posted something a few months ago, and by the way, whether I comment or like on every post of yours is seen by me, and it marinates. So I have mad respect for you, and you know
Likewise,
that,
brother.
and I love
Likewise,
you too.
brother.
I love
yeah,
you too.
likewise.
So you posted that the biggest mistake a lot of hosts make is they get on and they essentially say, so tell me about yourself. And then the guest rants for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's like, it's like, you just gave me the origin story and like, where are we going with this?
You got to tie it into something.
So there is a little origin story.
Sure.
You set the audience at ease the way you started this podcast, because they're like, well, who's this guy? And then I just got vulnerable. Told my truth, and now we're talking. Now we're getting into the brass tacks.
Right.
So we gave you a little bit of a setup.
There was a strategy to get there, but they don't always see that. You know what I mean?
See that, but it's the
and
way.
And you also make it really easy because you're just a great guy. So it's like I can sit back and be like, all right, John, do your thing.
But it's a way home. So it makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense to do that. I forgot your question.
So we were talking about being a great guest or a great host. I want to get to guest, but before we get to the guest, who are some good hosts that you watch or listen to that you really say, wow, they're really good at their craft and what they do? And who are they and why do you think they're good?
So I'm going to give you my list.
Please.
Political, not political. I think Tucker Carlson is freaking awesome.
Good interviewer,
He's
regardless
a good
of how
interviewer.
you.
I don't care. Don't judge based on the merit of whatever you think his beliefs are political. From a pure interviewer of challenging answer, asking the question, adding value, letting the person give, like, really, really effective. I think Rogan is obviously amazing because Rogan is very, very smart, but he knows that he's having people on that are far smarter than him. So he is helping us to go through the journey, the curiosity journey with him.
Yeah.
Because he could literally sit there with all these guys and be like, well, I read this, and banter. And instead, he's like, well, why is that? Mm-hmm. Right? And so I think he's really good in that regard. Sean Ryan.
Yeah.
I think he's really good because he is so authentically himself. There's no extrovert there whatsoever. There isn't a ton of transfer of energy. He is authentically himself, and there is a great indication as a CEO that if you are an analytical, if you're a thinker, if you're a listen first, speak last kind of a CEO,
Yep.
you don't need to think that you have to be super animated in order to be an effective podcaster.
Yeah.
So those would be the three that I spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in really digging in and listening to. As it relates to like business, I would say Mel Robbins is fantastic. I really enjoy her. I'm addicted to the School of Hard Knocks.
What is that?
School of Hard Knocks. 3 gentlemen. One who's the primary on-camera guy. He went to University of Texas as a college project. He was going around and interviewing people with a mic. He'd go up and he would find billionaires and millionaires, and he would essentially interview them on the street. So you probably saw some of the content where somebody comes up and goes, "Is that your car?"
Yeah, I've seen
right.
that. Yeah,
And then you never see the guy on camera, but they interview.
Yes.
He was doing it where he goes to like Scottsdale or affluent areas of the country. He waits for somebody to come out. He gets tipped off by somebody at the store that a billionaire is in there. "Sir, excuse me." And he interviews them on the street.
I think I've seen his short form videos.
Yes.
I didn't know he had a podcast though.
Yeah, so he's
okay.
So he's got a long form, but most of it is what you see is the short form content. But the long form is more training, where it's him and his 2 partners describing how they built their content model. So I really find his interview style to be pretty amazing, because he powerfully in 3 minutes gets 5 questions out, and the editing is amazing because you know that they didn't answer that purely.
Yeah,
but
course.
they edited it so it's like
flows.
It's real punchy and choppy, and it's really good.
Yeah. What about from a guest standpoint? What makes a good guest for a podcast? Because we've got CEOs, founders listening to this that are starting to guest on podcasts more and more to get their brand and word out there and story, and they're thinking, how do I show up for these things?
Yeah.
What are some tips?
First off, know your stories. So you should have 5 or 6 stories that you would stand up in front of your sales team and tell. You would stand up in front of stakeholders and you would tell those stories. Know your brand identity. Know your core values. Know your principles and beliefs. Know your origin story. Know the instrumental points in your life where something changed or modified. Know that your story of your brand is way beyond your products and services. And if I'm being truthful as a guest, nobody cares about your products and services. We care about you. We want to know who you are and what you stand for and what you believe in and how you inspire and motivate. In that, you can give us some information and some details and some ideas for us to kind of chew on. But if you're compelling enough, I'm going to go look at your website and find out what your products and services are anyways.
Right.
So think of yourself as a podcast guest as SEO. You're creating your own search engine optimization. You're the reason I'm going to dig into your company.
Yeah.
Give me a reason. Right, so
it is good for SEO too, because you get backlinks from the podcast.
Yes.
And people don't know that shit, but if you go on a lot of podcasts, it dramatically increases your search, whether it's AI search or SEO traditional, because now your websites, your names, you're being linked to other sources that are credible, and AI sources and SEO. Love that.
I can tell you the last 2 companies I worked for, if you did searches on them, you saw a lot of the podcast and my face.
Yeah.
And it was because that was the person that was putting out the most links and the most content. So as a CEO, if you want your company to be seen, put out a ton of content with links behind it, and you'll push that number up. Here's another really smart thing to do. Realize that anyone who does a long form podcast is using the long form as a model to create short form.
Yep.
So you want to talk in sound bites. So I probably made the mistake a few times already, because I'm used to being a host and I'm so excited to being a guest. But you really want to speak in, like, know your story, speak in 1 minute to 2 minute power segments, and then kind of pause, let it rest, and then see if there's a follow-up question that you can add on to that.
That's a great point. I always teach people too, like, speak in points. And I think there's a time to go off and just have a conversation, not worry about it. But even for me, and you're probably the same way, when I listen to stuff, I'm like, there's a hook. It just triggers. I've been doing this for so long, it's like it just triggers. But I think going into the conversation as a guest, knowing that sometimes you want to even rephrase the question back.
Yeah.
So, and you did it a little bit ago. I don't know if you noticed it, but I said, what makes a good podcast host? And you're like, what makes a good podcast host is Now that's an easy trim. Now we could trim it from my standpoint, but you could even, this is in person, so you're going to get a bunch of amazing content, so you don't got to worry about it. But if you were virtual, let's say, which everyone does a lot of virtual podcasts, you just set up your smartphone, and then
there's a clip for you.
I don't need you to send me the footage, bro. I got the whole thing right there.
While you're asking the next question, I could be posting that.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
exactly.
You've got natural starts and stops.
Right. And that takes time to build that skill.
It does. You really do have to be on quite a few. But think of it this way: like, if you were in a sales meeting, you probably don't want to go on a rant.
Totally.
Right in front of a board.
Right.
Like they ask the question, answer the question, give some merit, a little bit of quantitative and qualitative data and fact, and kind of finish that statement off, right? And wait for the next thing or see if there's a follow-up. I will tell you another thing about being a great guest. Show up willing to be fully authentic and vulnerable. Because you have to give the interviewer the ability to dance a little bit.
Yes.
Let them play.
Yes.
And if you make things off topic or it wasn't pre-discussed and they go into a question and you're not willing to go there, it will affect the next 25 minutes of the podcast.
Yeah, totally.
Because now the host is like, okay, what are the boundaries? What can I ask? What can I not ask? And a really good podcast host is trying to get you away from products and price. They're trying to get you into inspire, inform, influence. Yeah. Right? And so this is entertainment, man.
Yeah.
You should be think entertainment that sells.
That's right. What about sending questions before the podcast starts?
No.
I'm a hell no on that one, dude. No,
I did it for the first 5 episodes that I ever recorded, and
Yeah.
I think you were like episode 10, so you didn't catch the pre-question. The first 5 episodes that I did, I had to go through an approval process with the gents upstairs, and then I was sending it to the guest. So first I sent it upstairs, they edited it. It was like Good Morning Vietnam where they're redlining things, and I'm like, this is crazy, like you're taking my legs out from underneath me. Then I would send it to the guest, and the guest would either say, hey, can we go here or whatever, or...
It's too much, man.
Here's what would happen. I'd ask the first 2 or 3 questions, and I could see them thinking of the rehearsed answer that they thought about on the drive over.
Right.
And it was terrible. So you could see a major difference around episode 6 or 7 where it was like, dude... I'm going to research you for 24 hours so it's fresh.
Yeah.
The hour before you come in, I'm going to know everything about you. I'm going to get the bullet points of where I want to go, and I'm going to let it rip. And wherever you take me, I'm going to go with you.
Yeah. I think what you said about this having your story down as a guest is super important because some people get on and they just don't know how to talk about their industry or their point of view or what they do. And it's like how they got to, and it just feels all over the place. And then when people listen to it, they're like, are they not very good at what they do? And that's not always the case. Sometimes people are just not good communicators at that particular time or topic, but actually they do deliver a really good service. I mean, you've met business owners that are 20, 30, 50, $100 million that struggle to get on camera and say a message, right? So it doesn't always correlate. But I think it does help your brand when you can communicate that story and your point of view on the industry. What is your point of view on the industry? Right?
That's it too. And I will tell you this, like, let's take somebody who does windows and siding, small to mid-sized business owner does windows and siding. What I'd love to know is how the hell do you get into that?
Yeah, right.
Like, do you wake up in the morning and choose to, like, how do you get, like, where did you start? What summer job did you have?
Yeah.
Who did you see that pulled up in the coolest F-150 power duty, mag wheels, truck, whatever, that was selling windows and doors and siding, and you went, oh my gosh, I want to do that. Like, that's what I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, you know who else wants to know that? Your employees, your suppliers and vendors, your current and future clients. They'd love to know that story because people tend to want to root for somebody. Mm-hmm. So if it's like, if I can know that you're so passionate about this thing and my doing business with you or working for you helps you to live out your purpose, I have a little more energy and fight in me for you.
Yeah, that's true. If someone's going to start a podcast, what are the steps that they should follow from, I want to start a podcast, but I'm not really sure what it's going to be about, but I want it to help grow my business, build a brand. What are kind of some of the steps you'd take them down?
Well, the first thing that I would say is you answered it. Why would be the first question. If you have a tremendous challenge recruiting top salespeople, there's a great reason to start a podcast.
That's a good one, yeah.
Okay? If you have an unbelievable difficulty right now finding your ICP and getting their attention, and the sales cycle is so long because you can't get in the door. Once they hear from you and know you're offering, you're golden. The sales cycle condenses quick. The problem is it takes you 6 months to get the appointment. There's a great reason to start a podcast, right? If you are trying to separate yourself from the competition, there's just too many blurred lines. Everyone kind of does the same thing. It's like, okay, well, you do that, but you do that. It's kind of the same thing, and there's no real separation or difference. There's a great reason to start a podcast, because if products and price are all the same, but I love Alex and I only kind of like John, I'm going with Alex.
Yep.
So there's a great reason to start a podcast. So that would be the first thing, is write out your why. What are you trying to accomplish? Is it a branding play? Is it a sales play, business development play? Is it a recruiting play? Or there's the fourth magic thing. It's, I don't have enough time to create enough content to massage every algorithm and what it calls for.
Yeah.
So, and I know that you talk about this, and I agree that you should dominate one, then go to your second, dominate your second. Don't get on all of them and be average at all of them. So the fourth one would be, your marketing department has the toughest job in the world that you don't think of. And that is, how do you mix data and analytics with creativity? They're two different sides of the brain.
Yeah.
So like, creative people, imagine every day having to come in and think of something creative to do content-wise and to put enough of it out there to be dangerous. That's really, really hard to do. A podcast solves a huge marketing challenge, which is filling in all the gaps of content when they can't think of that awesome thing that's going to hit.
Yeah.
And making sure that you have enough content to cherry pick the best and massage every algorithm. So that'd be the first thing. Why are you doing it? Let's say it's all four, okay? Then it comes down to, what's the cadence now? So I would determine the why, then I would figure out, we're doing it in studio, so that's just going to happen. Like, if you're doing a Zoom, I'm sorry, you'd be better served flying in guests for $1,000 and having them on the show if you're a national company than you would doing a Zoom.
By the way, look at the best podcasts out there. Are any of them virtual every episode? No, they're not. Are all of them in person almost every single time? Yes.
And by the way, if you're going to do a virtual, get a TV, get a big TV, put a camera on the TV, and have a camera on you live and a camera on the TV. So it's like,
I think lives are cool. Lives are fine virtual. We're going to start doing lives.
Yeah.
That's different than, I think, a little different than a podcast where you have guests on, you do a live show about a certain segment or something. I think that's cool. Yeah. And it allows you to get virtual people on, because I can't have, I can only have local people. I choose to only have local people on, but that's another avenue for us now to be able to have people all across the world on. But we're not changing the podcast setting, because the in-person is the way.
It's the way.
In the relationship building, back to what we talked about earlier, the connection, the relationship building, the local presence, the community, that you just do not get on a virtual standpoint.
Yep.
Yeah.
So next would be making sure that you have a studio that looks pro. Like, it should be built out. You should have your logos. You should have promotional products, branded apparel. You should have logos. I would strongly recommend that you don't name your podcast the name of your company. It's the XYZ podcast powered by your company.
Yeah. Why do you say that, by the way?
Because, like, if you do the Kelly Tires podcast.
Yeah. Sounds salesy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's no mission or purpose behind it. I think that's
just like, hey, we have a podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
So it would be, if I was a tire shop, it would be like, mechanic talk.
Yeah,
right,
exactly.
or something like that, or like Pit Stop,
Yeah.
powered by, you know what I mean?
Totally.
Something in that regard where you could kind of theme around it, where the name of the podcast tells you what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about tires, probably don't want to listen to that podcast. Is not for me. But if you're going to tell me the intricacies of what goes into, running a business like yours,
Or maybe it's an automotive base because
Yeah,
that's what ties back into tires,
and then
right?
you can tie in racing,
Yeah,
and
for
all
sure.
that, then I might be a little bit more intrigued.
Yeah.
And then lastly, what is going to be the experience? You need to map out very clearly what the experience is going to be. When they come in the door, who's taking photo one? When they come in the door, where's their bio on the TVs?
Mm-hmm.
Like when they come in the door, who's bringing them a coffee?
Mm-hmm.
Was an email sent the night before to the whole team, especially the sales team or the client-facing team, that such and such is coming in at 10 o'clock? When we walk through the building, please stand up, introduce yourself, smile, and thank them for being here.
Yeah.
Like, that has to be mapped out, and everyone's got to be on board. And by the way, if you start a company podcast and you just isolate it to one or two people, you're missing a huge opportunity. This needs to be all hands on deck.
Agreed.
Everyone's involved. Everyone's got a piece in it. And then your distribution of that content will 10x, because now employees will be using it. The guests and their staff will be using the content. And next thing you know, you'll flip on LinkedIn one morning and you'll see your face 7 times and you haven't posted yet. That's power.
What do you look at on the back end? Obviously, you got post-production and that kind of stuff. But I believe that even if you had no metrics, even if no one listened to it, there's still value in a
100%.
podcast. So there's that side. But from a metric side, is there anything that you look at? Download streams? Do you look at that type of stuff and track it? Or what's important?
Watch time percentage is important. Like watch hours.
Yeah.
And just natural views. And by the way, if you're starting a business-centric, brand-centric podcast, the long-form content is never going to perform the way the short form does. Yeah. But you need the long form to get the short form. So if you get 150 to 400 views on your long-form episode that's an hour and 30 minutes with a client who sells knives, thank your lucky stars. Would you accept an offer once a week to talk to 150 to 400 people, knowing that if 400 people were in the auditorium that you were speaking to, 370 of them are going to get up and walk out from second 1 to the 5-minute mark. Right. They're going to get up and walk out. But the remaining 10 are going to stick around for 5 minutes to the full hour and a half and come back for the next presentation. Would you do that? Mm-hmm. I do it all day, every day of the week.
Yeah.
So you got to have some expectations that you're not doing the podcast to go viral. You're not trying to be a celebrity. Yeah. This is a part of your funnel. It's the widest part of the funnel, and it achieves multiple goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think downloads and streams are important. I think you got to realize that it does take time too. It's not, and to your point, you're going to get short term, medium term, you're going to get a lot more traction with the short clips because you just get 5,000, a couple thousand views on one clip. A download or stream means they watched it for at least 30 seconds or more. Mm-hmm. They're bought into it, but those are loyal.
It's intimate.
Yeah, that's a really, like that one download or stream makes up for hundreds of regular views that could be 3 or 4 or 5 seconds.
That's why subscribers is important too, because if you think about it, that's an intimate thing. I'm putting you on, now no longer am I just putting you on my phone, I'm putting you on my TV. Yeah. Like I don't watch NBC.
Yeah.
I watch YouTube.
Yeah, same here. That's why I get my news.
I go to subscribers and I go there first. That's my TV guide, if you will. Like,
I think that's very common for a lot of people now.
Yeah.
You know, they don't go to the TV remote and look for different channels. They go on their phone. And it's YouTube or it's podcast. YouTube and Spotify. Those are like
that's it.
That's where I live. If I'm driving or doing laundry or something, I'm in it.
Same.
Yeah. So back to your business.
Yeah.
Have you had that moment yet? Because you're how long in now?
July 1st started.
So have you had that moment? I know you talked about it a little bit in the beginning, but have you had a couple moments now where you're like, what am I doing?
I just had a moment this morning.
Did I make the wrong decision?
No, I haven't had the wrong decision, one. But I had a moment this morning as I'm racking up money on the company credit card for equipment and building out a kick-ass studio. And I'm going, oh, God, Mom and Dad, like, please shine down on me now because I'm in now. I will tell you this, and you know this. When you're working for somebody else, I've been called this. I've been called a grunt. Loyal to a fault. You ask me to do something, I'm going to do it and probably go a little bit further, even if it's kind of a crazy request. You need somebody to stand up in front of 400 people and deliver a good message or a bad one. I'll do all the stuff. Like, I do all the stuff in the cracks where nobody else wants to do that. I'm that guy. So I would probably be like the special teams wedge breaker. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of the guy that I've been. And what I noticed is, like, when you're working for somebody else, even though I have a willingness to do those things, it does become tiresome. It wears on you. And you do have a tendency to be like, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to give it my all today. Like, I'm not giving it everything I got today. Yeah. Like, I'm tired. I haven't, I'm shocked that I haven't had that moment yet. And it almost scares me because I'm like, this is 24/7. And like,
and you have a hard time shutting off, don't you?
I can't shut it off.
Yeah.
But I find myself now laying in bed, walking through each show and each client one by one in my head. Were they taken care of today?
Yeah.
Did I love them enough? Did I do right by them? Did I earn my pay today? Mm-hmm. I find myself doing that, and I wake up the next morning, and it's the first thing on my mind because it was the last thing before I went to bed. And I find myself then remembering that and going, I got to give them a little more love today. And so that's been really interesting for me because I'm like, is that sustainable? Like, how do you do that if you have 50 clients, let's say, at some point? Like, how
the business challenges you're going to have
to
to work
love
through.
every one of the babies?
Yeah. Have you thought about that from a scaling standpoint? Do you think you'll hire people, 1099?
It's already starting to do that.
What do you got going on?
So, multiple editors, 3 different editors, and
overseas here,
1 here, 2 overseas.
Yep, smart.
Which
those are helping you with post-production, right, for the podcast that you're doing. Yep.
And the gentleman here will start coming with me to each recording because what I'm doing is I have a studio in Elgin where people could come and record at.
I was going to ask you. Okay, so that's where you're building and all the equipment and stuff?
In one of my clients' buildings.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Space to lease.
Oh, that's cool.
So we launched their podcast in January. I've got a space. They sell. By the way, shout out to Reiki Interiors. If you need office interiors, there is nobody better. I can hook you up with Colleen and Melissa. But yeah, I'm going to have a studio in there. So that'll be really cool to bring people out.
So what's going to be your theme of your show? I know we talked a little bit about it off air, but
so I'm calling it the Multipliers. And I was called this, and prior to that, I heard a talk about it. I think it might have been we went through like a Rockefeller's School of Business kind of training, and it was talking about like don't just have a job, don't just do your role, be a multiplier. And like,
I think I've heard that before. Yeah.
So we started to think about this in the way of recruiting, like what personality types become multipliers. So I started thinking about like, how does that apply to me? And I've always thought that the podcasting process is a multiplier.
Definitely.
I bring you in, you meet the whole crew, that inspires the crew. So just the fact that I had you in the building as a guest to be on the show and you walk through the building, everyone gets a little pep in their step.
Yeah.
So there's a multiplier.
Yeah.
Right? Then I have you on the show and I promote you and make you feel like $1 million. I just multiplied your energy level a little bit. So
and then you got the content on the back end, and that multiplies and scales them. Yeah.
So my thought process is I'm going to have on 2 to 3 executives, owners, founders, C-suite, people that are doing some stuff, innovators, authors, whatever. Might be an athlete. You might show up one day and the Chicago Bear is there, right? And you're on the same show. So I'm going to have 2 to 3 people, so anywhere from 3 to 4 people on the show. I'll be hosting it. And they're not going to know who they're on the show with until they get there. Mm-hmm. So I might have the CEO of a trucking company, the CEO of a warehouse company, and the CEO of a drone company, right?
I know one.
So do I.
Well,
We interviewed
drone
the
software.
same.
Oh, Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan
Ryan
Walsh. Another shout out.
That's right.
So
Good dude. He's coming
imagine now the trucking company CEO is sitting there, and this wholesale warehouse guy is like on point and just killing it. And that trucking company CEO is like, man, I really like this guy. Well, guess what? They're going to leave that experience and
Multiply.
go, we should figure out a way to do business together. So now I became the nucleus, the source of them meeting, collaborating, and potentially partnering. And meanwhile, that drone company is going, hey, look, I do videos and I can do this and I can do that. And the trucking company's trying to increase their marketing play and they need video. And the warehouse guy wants an in-warehouse drone flyover to put on their website. So I just found opportunity for them. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm sitting back watching these beautiful people collaborate and talk about how they build brands and how they've done these amazing things and how outstanding it is. So they're teaching the marketplace, becoming multipliers, but now they've got this relationship with each other. And when they do business together and it works out well, they will always remember that I brought them together. So the content goes outward, the partnership comes inward, and it grows and multiplies. That's gonna be
love it, man. You're gonna have some interesting shows.
I mean,
I'm curious to see how it goes. Yeah,
and it's tough to host just one-to-one.
Oh, dude, you're gonna have some interesting shows.
This is gonna be interesting because I feel like I'm just gonna be like, all right, here's the questions.
Yeah,
and they're just gonna they're gonna be going after.
And you'll figure it out, and you may pivot a couple different ways and add stuff, take away. Like you'll figure it out. But it's something different. I like that.
It will be different because my last two shows have been origin story shows.
Yeah.
Who are you? What's your why? What have you been all about? One-to-one. Let me really dig in and get to know you and really pick your brain and share that knowledge and really promote you. And I love that. And I'll continue to do that with the Golf with JMO show.
Oh, so you'll still have that. Okay.
Oh, yeah. The Golf with JMO show will be where I do the intimate origin story while entertaining.
Yeah, that's you and your element, man.
I love that. Yeah. So that'll be the one where I really promote an executive while entertaining. But this will be more of a show where it's like, some real value will get kicked around, but it also will become the ultimate model for all of my clients that look at the possibilities of what you can build your show out to be, where you could bring in one current customer with two prospective customers, and the one current customer is so impressive that it influences the two potential customers to become your customer.
Mm-hmm. John, what is one thing in your business right now that you need to do, but that you're a little worried to do, or you've got some type of fear around or insecurity around? What's the one thing that you're like, I know I need to do this thing, but I've got some fear around doing it?
Okay, so I think you could tell from knowing me and from our interactions that I have vision and I can communicate and I'm kind of all over the place. Imagine trying to get this on paper. It's almost scary for me because I feel like a mad scientist when I'm thinking about this sometimes because it's so there's so many layers to this. When you really start to dig into it, it could turn into a freaking manual this big.
Yeah.
And so, but I know there has to be process and procedure. I know that there has to be SOPs and standards of performance, and there has to be a standardized deliverable and an expectation and all these different things. And you can't just do a proposal and go, well, here's what it is, and then just get into it. So I have been spending the last few days, and I've connected with a fractional CEO. We're going to barter services.
Nice.
And I had a similar conversation about here's all the things, right? And he's like, dude, we got to get this on paper. So that scares me. I know it's necessary.
Yeah.
But it's going to be daunting. I mean, it's a lot because there are so many layers to this. Because I'm not just doing the podcast. I'm also managing LinkedIn pages and Instagram pages and creating clips for every single podcast that I'm managing, and then posting all of their clips and writing all the copy for them on all of their channels. So it's a lot. I have to take on the brand
That's why
identity.
I got out of the done for you and got into the do it with you.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. And I know that it's a great value prop. And there's a market for the way that you're doing it. There's a certain type of client that needs to have tried the other way and realized that, hey, look, handing it off seems glamorous and nice, but I already tried that, and I know that I need to commit to it, and I need to be more like Alex.
Yeah.
Many of my clients are more in the beginning stages of, look, we don't have a presence.
Yeah.
Look, we know that we need to we just need to have a presence.
Yeah.
So can you get me started there?
Yeah.
I know the evolution of that will be where you are. Remember, you're years ahead of me in this regard.
Yeah.
The evolution of that will be, hey, look, I've got it done for you, but I've also got a let's do it together. Because if your personal brand, I'm going to say this real close into the mic.
Well, you got a big voice. You don't even need to get that close.
If your personal brand is not running parallel to your corporate brand and your podcast brand, which should be a separate brand, you are missing where all of the leverage is going to come from. People will follow your company page, they'll follow your podcast page, but they really, really in-depth will follow you as a person. You, as a person, need to be pushing everyone to those company pages, not the company page pushing to you. And that's where I think a lot of people have it confused. They want their company pages to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
good luck.
no,
man.
you need to be awesome, and then that will drive people to the company page.
Yeah.
But do you really even need a company page?
Or the website, wherever, right? They got to go to if they're going to buy from you, they got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah. John, this has been an awesome conversation, man. I appreciate you coming on the show, and maybe one day I can be on your show.
Oh,
when you get
one
this
day.
going.
You've already been on two.
Well, I've been on
You're
two.
You're going to be on the golf show and the other show.
But this is like, you're right, I was on both.
Yeah.
But this is like really your show. Even though you ran the other ones, and it was your show, to be fair. But this is like 100% John's show.
100%.
Yeah.
When I look at my credit card bill, it's 100% my show.
That's right. That's right.
So please tune in and check it out, because I'm all in on this one, folks.
I love it. Where can people find, connect, learn more about what you got going on and what you do?
Yeah. So to my point, follow me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
That's where I live. And follow the Golf with JMO show on YouTube. Little bit of a hiatus right now. Blew out my C6 in my neck. So we're getting a little therapy at Olympia over here across from Alexander's in St. Charles.
Nice.
Another shout out to them. And so we'll be back filming the show probably in a couple months, hopefully indoor, and then we'll get outdoor. But yeah, follow the Golf with JMO show. We got episodes up there and a bunch of content clips. I will be creating content from, indoor golf facilities on little, like how to hit a draw, how to hit a cut, how to hit it low, how to hit it high, stuff like that, just to keep it fresh.
Yeah.
But stay tuned. I don't know when this will air, but likely by the time it airs
In December.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Likely by the time it airs, I will be in studio recording episode 1 of the Multipliers.
Love it, brother.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on. I'm cheering
pleasure
for you. Always in your corner, man. Cheering you on.
I love it. Cheers.
Appreciate it. Thank you, brother. Oh, you went for the...
We did the turkey.
Yes,
Let's go.
that's
There
okay.
we go.